Comrade, hardstyle breathing is an ancient martial art technique that has also been endorsed by a Russian sports scientist. It's a very powerful technique that is going to make you strong in any exercise that you do. It's going to make your abs tight. It's going to make your back better protected. While it's not for folks with heart problems or high blood pressure, for everybody else, it's outstanding. Here's what you do. First, you take a breath into your abdomen, a diaphragmatic inhalation. In fact, visualize that you're breathing in not just into your stomach, but down into your groin. It's not a complete breath. It's about half to 3/4 of a maximum inhalation. Then you're going to place your hands on your abs, on your obliques. Palpating your muscles is going to give you some feedback. Makes you feel the tension in the muscles, and it's going to allow you to increase that tension even further. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pull up your sphincters. What does it mean? Well, prevent both kinds of nature's call. That's pretty much what it means. You're going to stick your tongue between your teeth. Pretend that you're trying to pronounce my last name. And you're going to increasingly pressurize the contents of your stomach and exhale in a series of hisses. Observe. And just relax. Do not keep any pressure in your head. Do not keep any pressure in your neck or in your traps. Try to keep all the pressure in here. Do not focus on flexing your back and tucking in your tail. Let it happen somewhat naturally. So some posterior tilt, some spinal flexion, definitely not excessive, definitely it's not the goal. Keep your knees just soft, slightly bent. Let's try this again. So just cough up that hairball, get a nice contraction. As you're performing your power breathing, your back will naturally slightly flex and your pelvis will naturally tilt slightly. Now let them do this. Don't make them do this. Watch what happens if you try to do it on purpose. I mean, what kind of sissy business is that? Instead, just focus on compression, focus on tension, and your back and your pelvis will do what they're supposed to do. Let's add one more subtlety. Let's tense the glutes. Tensing the glutes increases your abdominal tension even further. Let's add one more subtlety. Try to bring your tailbone and your belly button close together. Tailbone and belly button. So observe, I'll get my arm out of the way. It's a very subtle maneuver, but it's a very powerful one. Comrade, here's a hardstyle breathing variation to work your obliques a little harder. What you need to do is you need to focus on bringing the elbow down to one side while trying to shorten these muscles right here. Bring your rib cage and your pelvis closer together. Observe. Comrade, you may practice hardstyle breathing every day, throughout the day. It's not tiring, but it's very effective. Just make sure that you rest long enough between your sets not to get lightheaded. Hardstyle power to you. Tension, relaxation, compression, expansion, yin, yang. You must work both extremes for strength and for health. So you worked on shortening your dear abs. Now let's lengthen them. Here's one thing you can do. Just lie down, relax, chop your abs, relax, stretch your arms overhead. Try to creep and make yourself taller, elongate your spine. You can turn a little bit, a little better stretch. Turn, squeeze the glute. Go a little side to side, and keep trying to get longer and longer. Here's another thing you can do. Elbows straight, shoulders down, 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 chest up, toe to the crown of your head. Squeeze the glutes slightly, go side to side, look up, go a little side to side. Feel those abs. Comrade, you've been hardstyle breathing for several weeks. Your abs have been getting harder. Don't forget to stop on our dragondoor.com forum and tell us about it. At this point, you're ready to move on to the next exercise, the hardstyle sit-up. But before you do, stretch your back and your hamstrings. If you're not flexion intolerant, this exercise is going to increase the effectiveness of your abdominal training. Observe. Lift up your hips, your knees locked or almost locked. Drop your hands. Do not hold up your head. Look behind your knees, not between your feet. Breathe out. Inhale, make fists. Tighten up, squeeze your glutes. Relax. Notice that whenever you tighten up, you don't want to come up any higher. Tighten up. When you tighten up, grip the ground with your toes. Make fists. Tighten up your glutes. Look way over there. And relax and kind of pry your stretch. Lift up one side of your hip. Lift up the other side of your hip. Lengthen your spine. Think of widening your back. Make your back wider. Make your pelvis wider. Make your back longer. When you're done, bend your knees, stand up, and we're ready to get your abs Pavlized. Comrade, stretching the hip flexors, the muscles on top of your thigh, is going to increase the effectiveness of your abdominal training and is going to improve your athletic performance. Here is one effective way of stretching the hip flexors. Assume the shown position with your back knee very, very well padded. Imagine that you are on cross-country skis, and if you were to lunge down on the ski, you're remaining on the skis. So none of this business, nothing's twisted, nothing's crooked, the foot or the knee may not fall off the skis. If you look at the width of the stance, the front leg is roughly perpendicular to the ground, the front shin. The back foot must be pointed. This side, you may hold on to something for balance, or you may keep it on right here. But you will not lean with this hand against your knee. However, you will put this hand, the hand on the stretch side, inside your knee. This arm has to stay straight for the duration of the stretch. Get tall, tilt your pelvis slightly, slight posterior pelvic tilt. What does it mean? You want to point your belly button slightly up. It's really more of an intention than an action, but you want to try to maintain that intention throughout the stretch. So you got in this position, push back with this hand, get tall, very tall, take a breath, and then just release, and as you release, sink down, and as you sink down, still keep thinking of pointing that belly button up. Just stay there for a while, and breathe, and breathe. This is just the opposite of hardstyle breathing. Do not let this knee turn. Do you see? If this happens, you're doing this wrong. It might help you to imagine that you're squeezing something between your two knees. So if this leg is no longer vertical, you may have to step forward and continue the stretch. Belly button up. Try to lengthen your both legs and your spine. Repeat several times a day. Comrade, enter the hardstyle sit-up. You may perform it with a training partner or with our patented ab pavlizer. This is not your typical pretty boy ab device. This thing walks softly, but carries a big stick. Observe. Sit down on the ground and get yourself in this position. Your knees have to be at 90 degrees, your feet need to be flat, and the pads are going to be exactly halfway up your calf. Put a light weight on the end of your pavlizer, 10, 20 pounds in the beginning. Eventually she'll progress to a heavier weight, but it's really not the point, at least not right now. You're going to perform your exercise from the top, and you're going to go down and come back up. So from the top, going down, and then back up. Start with power breathing. Observe. Your hands right here in this position. Take a breath. Then you're going to breathe shallow. Then you come down to whatever you can handle. And come back up. And just pretty much relax. Let's focus on some details. Your hand position. So one palm is covering the other, and palms are pressing against each other. On the way down, you may sniff your air a little bit, or sip your air. So breathe a little bit, but do not really take deep breaths because that is going to take away from the tension in your abdomen. Go down slowly, but not with an exaggerated slowness. If you manage eventually to get down all the way, it should take approximately 3 seconds, and it should be done at a steady pace. Don't just do this, get down to some point where you can no longer hold yourself and just stay there forever and then just fall through. No, steady, steady, steady. Then power up and reverse the movement. Use those glutes. Remember everything you learned about power breathing, including the tips about your pelvis and your spine. Let them flex. Let them tilt. Do not focus on that. So we're breathing shallow here. Going down, touching the ground. If you can breathe in this manner on the way up, if you can power breathe, it's terrific. If you can't, you can just simply breathe behind the shield. What is breathing behind the shield? It's like this. It's breathing in this manner. It's like your abdominals are contracted, but you still must breathe. Let's add another subtlety. Think of this part of your body, from your sternum up to your head, as one single piece. So we don't really want to be doing the chicken with our head. We don't want to be tucking your neck too much either. Keep this as a rigid block. In fact, when you're sitting up, imagine that somebody's pulling up by the sternum in that direction. So let's do this again. Notice that I did not really succeed in completely removing the movement from this area. It's not going to be possible. Just try. Just do your best. So you're going to go down as far as you can while keeping your glutes super tight. And then you just reverse the movement. Here are the 2 things not to do. 2 sissy things not to do. That's weak. Here's one more thing not to do. That's even weaker. Comrade, think of your abs as a spring. So you contracted a spring on the top and you're going down, that you stretch that spring or that rubber band and you come back up. So don't relax. Notice again, you have to maintain that tension until the back of your head and your upper back brush the ground, at which point you just power back up, keep that tension, get to the top. At some point, when you can do that with ease, or at least you can do this, you may add one more variation of the hardstyle setup. Observe. This time we're going to start from the bottom. You're fully relaxed. Tighten up. Get the glutes. Come up, come up, come up, come up, come up. Go down, go down, go down. Fully relax and re-engage again. Come up, come up, come up, come up. How do we progress on this exercise? Eventually you're going to add a little bit more weight. Typically probably is going to be between 25 and 45 pounds. If you are more top heavy, it's going to be less weight. And do not really chase the maximum weight right here. It's not the point. Find whatever weight is most appropriate to give you the greatest contraction. How do we progress beyond that? You don't want to do more reps. You could do more sets. But what you could really do is try to get more tension. So there's no point in going beyond 5 sets of 5 reps. But you can make every repetition tighter and tighter and tighter and stronger just by contracting your abs harder. So let's do just one repetition, killer repetition. This is a form of what scientists call internal isometrics. You can make this as hard as you want. Comrade, if you don't have an abovalizer, shame on you. You may perform the hardstyle sit-up with a training partner. The training partner is going to have a towel behind your calves and pull up at about 45-degree angle with very little force, maybe about 10 pounds. It works the exact same way. It would be very tempting for your training partner to be lazy and say, well, I don't need a towel. I can just do this. Well, if you do this, before you know it, he's going to help me cheat. Okay? He's going to allow me to pretty much hook my feet underneath his arms. So do use your towel. Comrade, I have never known a single person who regularly practiced hanging leg raises and failed to develop a hard and useful set of abs. Ever. The HLR demands a dangerous blend of strength and flexibility and belongs in the training schedule of any hard comrade. Let us establish what constitutes a legit leg raise. 1. The arms remain straight at all times. 2. Look straight ahead and do not tilt your head back. 3. Start from a dead hang and move with a controlled momentum. Comrade, your first drill on your path to hang leg raise mastery is the hanging power breathing. That drill will teach you to take the slack out of your body. You're going to hang in the bar with the grip this width. Your thumbs should be able to touch each other, except they won't. Thumb is this way. You're going to take an empty water bottle and you're going to squeeze it between your knees. And you're going to power breathe. As you power breathe, your ribs and your pelvis should come closer together. Your body should shorten in the front. Don't forget the karate navel maneuver. Don't forget to tense your glutes either. Comrade, on your next set, add the fairly sophisticated shoulder action. You need to learn how to pull your arm into the socket. You need to learn how to push the arms down, as you would in the straight arm pull down or the front lever. At the same time, you need to sort of break this bar. Pretend that you're trying to make your elbows face each other. So this is the action, except of course, the elbows will not gonna be able to go there, but this is the intention. Also, you're gonna try to squeeze your pecs together, like you're at a bull worker right here and you're pushing your pecs together. So this is the action. Let's try it on the bar. Pull up your kneecaps, tense your glutes. Keep your arms straight. Mine is not quite straight, but it never will be. So do as I say, not as I do. Comrades, practice your hanging power breathing for sets of approximately 10 sets, with plenty of rest in between. When you feel solid, you may add a partial hanging leg raise. The important thing is that your back may not arch. If it does, either you're doing the exercise wrong or you're weak. So what you gotta do is take the slack out of the body just with a couple of short hisses of power breathing. Not going all the way, but just a couple of times. Then after that, release the glutes and start raising the leg as you're pushing down on the bar. So remember, normally we did this for power breathing. Many times. This time, you're gonna take a breath and do this. See, just took the slack out. Calm down, relax. Take a breath. Relax. Notice how your glutes are tight in the beginning, then you have to release them. Release. Unfortunately, comrade, doing partial hanging leg raises is not very likely to get you to the top, any more than doing partial pull-ups is likely to help you to do full pull-ups. You see these characters do this kind of thing, and they say it's a pull-up, it's a pull-up. Come on, it's a joke. So how do we work the strength in the top position of the hanging leg raise before you're able to do the hanging leg raise? Observe. You need a training partner, or you need a power rack with a pin set inside, or some appropriate piece of furniture. The grip is the same. The lat action, shoulder action is the same that it is in the hanging leg raise. This time, we're going to work only the top part of the motion. So cheat your way up right here and get your feet towards the bar. Straighten out your legs. So that's the top position of the hanging leg raise. Now power breathe. Inhale on the way down, come just halfway down, and come up. At some point, when you have progressed to 5 sets of 5 in the supine version, you need to make your life harder by elevating your shoulders. You'll need some object to restrain you from sliding and to make you inclined. As before, we want to have the shoulders in the more or less closed position. Not right here, as we would have it for the hanging leg raise, but a little bit more in the front. As before, cheat to the top, straighten out your legs. Bend your knees and come down. Progress to the point where you're pretty much sitting upright while still maintaining a slightly closed shoulder position. Cheat up. You're ready to go up on the bar. Eventually, you're going to work up to a full hanging leg raise. Bring your feet up to the bar. At that point, power breathe powerfully. Expel the air. Get a cramp in your diaphragms. On the way down, inhale through your nose, deep into your abdomen. Then you have two choices. You can fully relax between each rep and then re-engage the tension, or stay tight. Observe. On this variation, observe how you're using stored elastic tension. Comrades, different grips are possible for all your hanging leg raise drills. This is our standard grip, you already know it. If you're a pretty big guy with big, broad shoulders, you may have to go a little bit wider, but still narrower than your shoulders on this particular grip. That'll help you activate your lats and makes it easier on your shoulders. Eventually, you may combine this with a little bit wider grip, about a shoulder width apart, and your thumbs wrapped around the bar. An easier grip, much easier grip, is parallel grip. This is too wide for me. This should be about this far, narrower than your shoulders. So if you find a bar that allows you to do this, you can do any of your hanging leg raises in this variation. Your lats much stronger in this position. When you have mastered the hanging leg raise, consider the following effective variations. For example, touch the bar with your insteps instead of with your feet. A powerful variation is the top half hanging leg raise, from the L seat to the top and back. That range of motion really works your diaphragms. Three, top half leg raise with pauses in the L seat. Pause for several seconds and power back up.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. 1 Volga, 2 Volga, 3 Volga.
4. Weighted hang leg raises. You may use ankle weights, or you may squeeze some object, such as a full water bottle, between your ankles. 5. Angled leg raise. A simple way to make the leg raise tougher and challenge your external obliques more is to touch the bar with your shins, not in the center, but slightly, just slightly, outside of one of the hands. This variation calls for the narrow grip. Comrades, for this drill, you've got to think of, as usual, pull the arm into the socket, push down, but what you also got to think about is pull from here, shorten the space right here. That's the idea. Observe. Finally, the hardstyle leg raise. Hardstyle breathe throughout the range of motion, on the way up and on the way down. Do not think about inhalation. It will take care of itself, as you will reflexively sip air between hisses. You will find out that hardstyle breathing, while making any exercise easier, makes abdominal work harder. Sissies hate the hanging leg raise because it is excruciatingly tough. It takes real strength in the waist and the lats, something the high rep crunch generation does not possess. It also takes flexibility, and most muscle men are about as limber as astronauts in moon suits. You have two choices. You could keep whining about how hard it is to hold onto the bar, how much your shoulders hurt, how you don't feel anything in your abs, or you could rise up to the challenge. The bar is set high, and it is waiting.
Friedrich Nietzsche said, "The abdomen is the reason the man does not easily mistake himself for a god." In several months of hardstyle abs training, may you be mistaken for a Greek god or goddess. Hardstyle power to you!
Comrade, I don't need to explain to you how important rotational power is to different sports. One thing that few people realize, though, that rotational power is not realized by rotating the spine. In fact, the spine has to be neutral, straight, and the ribs and the pelvis have to be locked on together. The drive is happening in the hips. Watch the full contact twist, the best exercise for transferring the power of your hips into your arms with interest. All right, comrades. As for the subtleties of the full contact twist, the first thing you gotta do is to protect your wall, protect your corner by using a thick towel or something else to pad it. Second, use a very light weight to begin with. An empty bar really is quite enough. Pick up the end of it safely. Keep your back neutral. The grip. It's a pistol grip, so both elbows are straight. This arm is pushing. This arm is pulling. So you lock it in this way. You're not too far forward. You're not too far back. You're just locked in this manner, your pecs and your lats. And throughout the exercise, it's really the movement is taking place in your feet. But right here, you're just locked in as one piece. So what do? You find this comfortable spot. Okay, I'm fairly centered right here. I'm feeling quite good. Your spine is neutral again. You're in the balls of your feet. You start the action by tensing up, digging the ball of your foot into the ground, starting this rotation, and not rushing, because if you start rushing, something like this will happen. It's just not good. Keep this straight. Start, so you're driving. You're driving here. You're driving fairly slow. You're power breathing. On the top, you're going to reset. You're going to reset for the other direction. Eventually, you find that optimal position. Reset your feet again. You're upright. You're not leaning forward. You're not back. Tighten up. And you drive. Again, do not rush. If you go fast, it's not a good exercise. Our Hardstyle philosophy is the following. Make an exercise harder by going faster or by going slower. In the kettlebell swing, we go faster. In the kettlebell get-up, we go slower. In the full contact twist, we go slower. So once again, start the drive from the ground, and first it's your pelvis, your foot, your knee, your pelvis have to move. And then this whole entity has to rotate. Go barefoot or use the kind of shoes and the kind of surface that does not have high friction. You cannot do this exercise effectively in a high friction environment. I mean, you don't need a skating rink, obviously, but there should be some sliding. Finally, if you're bending your arms or if you're going fast, you're really cheating on yourself. So be strict and stay strong.
What you've just seen, comrade, is the hollow rock. The hollow position from gymnastics is a very strong position. It's not pretty, but it's very strong. Your body forms a slightly concave shape. Don't confuse hollow position with hollow in the stomach, sucking your stomach in. That sissy business is not what we do around here. It refers to that C shape, dish shape of the body. So your chest is somewhat sucked in, your tail's tucked in, your abs are tight, your glutes are tight. It's very much like the Hardstyle sit-up, except your arms are stretched out and your legs are stretched out. So watch one more time. Final points. Unlike the Hardstyle sit-up, this is a static exercise. In the static exercise, there should be no movement. If there's any movement whatsoever in your spine, in your ribs, that just means you're weak. Let me show you what not to do. Go back to the Pilates class, and then let's start over. Something else, your neck. We don't want to do the chicken. Don't do the chicken. Keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth, and try to keep your head as an extension of the body, just like we did before in the Hardstyle sit-up. Glutes, super tight, locked. They should feel like they're a wheel. Abs, pelvic floor, everything locked super tight.
There are several possible arm positions. The easiest position is right here on guard. Then we can have the arms overhead, as I've shown. You can have them overhead and press your palms against each other. You may also take a stick and pretend you're doing that exercise on the bar. If you don't have an access to a pull-up bar, when you travel, perform the hollow rock. That's a great exercise. Do it in multiple sets of 10 seconds or so, but always stop the set if there's any movement in your waist. There should be no movement whatsoever. Where there's a hollow rock, there's also a hollow roll. So there's another variation.
Roll from cheek to cheek. And as before, you may not separate. Like if your pelvis rolls before your shoulders, that's weak. Can't do that. You must roll as a unit.